I have a cousin who is a right-wing bigot. I don't know how she got that way, but her conversion seems to have occurred right after she started dating a very conservative guy after her divorce. She started spewing conspiracy theories, and then when Trump came on the scene, she became a jeering Trump supporter, shutting down all of our objections and pleas to consider her alignments with insults like libtard and snowflake and sheeple. So she is currently estranged from most of the family who have blocked her on social media and don't speak to her. If we were allowed to gather in person right now, would she attend a family reunion? I don't know. I don't know if she would want to. I don't know if I would want her to. She has already told all of us that she thinks we're complete idiots. So sadly, for now, I think the matter is settled. And then I have another cousin from my mom's side who recently posted an image of Jesus peeking around the door, and the text on the meme says, "I saw what you did with those ballots." The implication, of course, being that there has been cheating and election stealing going on. I was very tempted to write as a comment next to this meme, "Did Jesus see what you did with those babies at the border?" But I refrained. I didn't write anything. This cousin is also a political conservative, but she is not nasty about it. She tries to engage. We strenuously disagree. I love her. I want to stay in relationship, and I think she feels the same way. If we were in the same room, which I hope to be sometime not too far into the future, we might be able to talk through some of our differing views and create some kind of bridge. So this is my family, or a tiny little part of it, and if you multiply my situation with my cousins times millions, this is America. Many of us yearn to create a bridge. We yearn for more civility. We yearn for kindness, more caring, and appreciation for one another across the aisle. The president-elect has called for healing, as have many other leaders. And so today I want to sit with you in that call for healing, that request, and see how it feels to us on three levels: an emotional level, the moral, and the level of justice. I want to share how I respond at those three levels to the suggestion that healing is what's most needed in America right now. And I hope that today you will, where you are, think about it too. And if you'd like to, we can talk about it during coffee hour. First, on the emotional level, I'm tired of being outraged and enraged. There's a huge part of me that wants to preach healing, to cast my vote for reconciliation, understanding, good feeling, the better angels of our nature. I do not want to be angry all the time, even though I know and respect the fact that for me, anger is always the result of my caring deeply about something or someone. In her reading, One Good Anger, the Reverend Angela Herrera quotes her mother as saying, "You can get a whole house cleaned up on one good anger." She says, there are some people you don't want to cross, but there are others who, angered, will light the night sky. I bear that in mind when considering this urging toward healing, as I also consider Dietrich Bonhoeffer, the German Protestant minister and martyr to the Nazis. His important expression, cheap grace, which describes the kind of communal niceness that is not healing or grace at all, but a veneer of acceptance extended by people who are not willing to pursue accountability. Which brings me to the second category of consideration for healing, which is moral consideration. As I seek to understand how so many Americans have been vulnerable to the lies and propaganda spewed by the current occupant of the White House, and even as I seek that understanding with some compassion, I also have to acknowledge that I am not the one most directly harmed by those lies, by those policies, by that propaganda. Recognition of this fact connects us to the third category of consideration about the priority of healing, which is justice. If we agree that one of the goals of the moral community, and that of course includes any religious community with claims to integrity, is to comfort the afflicted and afflict the comfortable, then where do calls for national healing and our desire to feel good intersect with justice? The activist Bree Newsom reminded all of her Twitter followers the other day that, and I'm quoting, "The close divide only exists among white people. Every other racial demographic is clear in majority opposition to Trump, but white people are 70% of us, U.S., I don't know what that says, but I think she's saying white people are 70% of those who voted to support him. Again, she writes, there is this constant effort to frame the narrative in ways that avoid examination of white identity politics. Being anti-racist means being willing to hear this and to hear how calls to come together and unite fall on the ears of those whose civil and human rights have been most degraded over the past 4 years and before that. An ethical response for this to this moment cannot therefore privilege comfort over acknowledging and confronting injustice. We can and should pursue justice and restitution with decency and civility, but God has never called anyone to feel-good, polite society, but to righteousness. It feels important to say that right now in history, righteousness and even those good old-fashioned religious practices of admonishment and chastisement have gone very much out of fashion. But I think they have an appropriate function right now. It is possible to love a person, a people, and a nation, and to say unequivocally that their actions and some of their beliefs are demonstrably bad and destructive. Admonishment and chastisement aren't just the practices of grim, stern extremists who seek to shame and expel dissidents from their ranks. They can be given in the spirit of love and humility as a way to repair communities. Why are we so allergic to them? If there was ever a time and a place for a word of moral correction, it is now. And you, all of you, are among those who are authorized to deliver those words or that word. If you don't think you are, if you don't think you have that authority, please reconsider. Are you trusted and respected in your family, in your workplace, in your community, your social group? Speak up. Silence is complicity. Smiles are permission. There is no reason to grease the wheels of reconciliation when the same people will, given the opportunity, again support another dangerous authoritarian, and you know there will be others. A thoughtful, caring admonishment that also acknowledges the human frailties of the ones or one doing the admonishing begins with the act of paying careful, respectful attention to what is happening and acknowledges damage that has been done. It doesn't assign perfection or superiority or infallibility to any person in the equation, but it presumes that we can find the truth and a better way forward best together, and not hiding or living in denial in little echo chambers of people who sound and believe just like us. There is nothing mean or inappropriate about asking those who have supported authoritarianism what they were thinking, and disagreeing with or challenging their responses and their excuses. Again, we cannot pursue uneasy truces over learning and progress toward a more egalitarian, inclusive, and safe society. I think that there is a much more important goal for America right now than healing, and that is the value we all learned in kindergarten: sharing. It will be tempting in weeks and months ahead to analyze all of our political processes and to bicker about solutions, and of course I'll be joining you in doing that. However, if we're to stay in relationship with one another across these profound disagreements, this mutual suspicion, and even remaining vestiges of hostility, we're going to have to learn how to share power across generations, races, religions, economic class, educational levels, cultures and ethnicities, sexuality, gender expression. Because for the time being, we are still one nation in what the Reverend Dr. King called an inescapable network of mutuality. And our current divisions are disastrous for the common good. We can and should come together without pretending to approve of those who thought it was a good idea to support the dismantling of our democracy and flagrant violations of common decency. We can and should come together not with a facade of false harmony, but with honesty and courage. Not just to express our disappointment and anger with each other, but to move on from that into a conversation that allows us to discover what we all care most about, which is really not that different between red and blue. When we know what we care most about, we can liberate a lot of energy, purpose, and transformational power. When we generate that power, and I pray that we can, and when we share that power, I pray that we will, the healing will just happen.